What's good, y'all? It's your boy Psychosopher here. Today we are covering Female Psychology 101. And what I want to talk about today specifically are these two images. And as you can see on the left, we have Sydney Sweeney, and on the right, we have Lizzo. And they are wearing almost the exact same outfit. They're both wearing these sheer dresses, sheer tops, and unfortunately, I had to put black bars over them because you can literally see their nipples in the photos on Instagram. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at the comments of these. We're going to do an analysis and compare the response to each Instagram post. Ideally, in a perfect egalitarian world, both of the comments should be the exact same because they're wearing the exact same type of dress. They're both half nude on the internet. So why would there be any difference? Well, interestingly enough, there's not the same reaction, so we're going to get into it, and we'll start off with Sydney Sweeney. As you can see, here's the Instagram post, and you could kind of look at the comments real quick, but we're going to dive into them later. And then here we have Lizzo. Basically the exact same post twice in a row. One's got 4 million likes, the other has 1.3 million, and I took the top 30 comments from each Instagram post, the ones with the most likes that were sorted to the top. I didn't skip any comments in the top 30. I just took the first 30, nothing else, so that there's not skewed, there's no selection bias or cherry picking. And I put them into a Sheets document and I categorized them all. Let's see, here we got the actual comment, then we have the user that posted the comment, and then we have the tone. So the tone is essentially whether it's supportive or negative. Negative comments are ones that are criticizing or mean, whatever. I'm sure you can guess what kind of comments these are. You can read them. And then we have positive comments, and those are either going to be supportive or just like horny guys in the comments reinforcing her ego. And then also with that, I went to each Instagram user and I labeled them whether they were female or male based off of the evidence I could gather for their account. Some of them I couldn't figure out. I did not know what gender they were because their account was private or whatever. And others, certain comments, I could not tell if they were supportive or not supportive, so I just wrote neutral for those. But these are all the comments for Sydney Sweeney, and you could see sorts of things like, the power of women is not about walking naked. Sadly, the only thing she has to offer. Walking naked does not empower women. And then we have a lot of guys down here who are spam posting GIFs, jerking off, squeezing the melons, all these different types of GIFs, and some of them are negative, some of them are positive. But then we have Lizzo here. And as you can see, there's a lot more positive comments just from the get-go. And we're getting things like sexy and hot, you're gorgeous, you're a beautiful lady, heck with the haters, bunch of heart comments, you get some hate comments. Overall, looks a lot more positive than the Sydney Sweeney, even though they're essentially the same post. I also tallied up the statistics. So for Sydney Sweeney, we're getting 13 males to 14 females, so relatively even between the genders. And then with Lizzo, 8 men and 21 women, so a lot more female dominated in Lizzo's post. Let's get into the comment analysis. We're going to split it up into two sections. We'll start with the male comment analysis, and then we'll do the female comment analysis. And for the males, this is the reaction we got. So for Sydney Sweeney, according to my categorizations, we got an overwhelming majority being positive from men, 76.9%, 23.1% negative. And if we actually look at the comments, here are the GIFs. Like we got Flight Reacts, motorboating it. This is a Castaway GIF where it looks like he's jerking off, squeezing melons, all these very sexual GIFs. So that's how the majority of men responded to that Sydney Sweeney post. They're just horny. Some of them were a little negative. And then here we got Lizzo. So for men responding to Lizzo's post, it's kind of controversial. We got some positive guys, 50%, some neutral, and then a decent amount of negative comments, 37.5%. So here are some of these responses from men. Of course, we got the dicks, like the negative guys who are just putting pig emojis, calling her a fat pig. And we also have sexy and hot, heck with the haters, these simps trying to support Lizzo. You basically got simps here on the right who are trying to virtue signal, and we got haters and dicks on the left. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, where we analyze the female comments, because men are more predictable. You could say because their behavior is a lot more open. Like if we get into a conflict, we're just going to fucking start punching each other. Whereas women, it's all kind of hidden behind a facade. So today we're going to be diving behind the facade to see exactly what these women are thinking, trying to enter into the female psyche. So starting with Sydney Sweeney's reaction from women. And as you can see, it's very different from the men. 87.5% negative and 14.3% positive. So overwhelmingly negative from women. Women are very much Sydney Sweeney haters. And let's look at some of the comments. So we got, the power of women is not about walking naked. Yikes, definitely not a role model. And yet women are criticized for breastfeeding in public. Private parts should remain private. Self-respect, please. How embarrassing does Sydney Sweeney look with all these classy women? Let's see if I can find a positive one. There's got to be one here. Oh, all I know is at 55 years old, if I knew then what I know now, you couldn't keep me dressed if I had her body, Rocket said. So we got some female supporters. They're not all haters. And then let's look at the Lizzo post. Oh, look at this. We got a lot of green. So 76.2% positive. This is a complete flip of Sydney Sweeney. So even though they're the exact same post, with the same dress, showing off their nipples and body in both of them, we're getting all these Sydney Sweeney haters and very few Lizzo haters. It's overwhelmingly positive for Lizzo, so let's look at some of these comments. You are gorgeous. You also give women like me, who is afraid to even put on a dress, okay, whatever, she's glazing Lizzo. You are a beautiful lady. Try dressing like one. So even with the criticism, she offers a compliment with it, saying she's beautiful, but she just needs to dress like one. She's not a full-on hater. She's just half and half. Then we're getting gorgeous. Gorgeous. You're stunning as usual. Bunch of fire emojis. Love, hearts, heart eyes. Beautiful, talented lady. Beautiful dress. Sexy AF. Tons of support from women. And it's just kind of peculiar why the exact same dress is getting a bunch of haters on Sydney Sweeney's account, but on Lizzo's account, it's a bunch of supporters. You're probably wondering, why is this? Well, I will tell you why. It is called female intrasexual competition. And men are very obvious with their evil and with their antisocial behaviors, their bad behaviors, because it's out there. They fight, they get aggressive. So everyone knows men are capable of bad antisocial behaviors, but we don't see it as much with the women because they are more subtle with it and they are more hidden and secretive. There are two categories of intersexual competition. The first one is self-focused, which I think is better because it's focusing on yourself and trying to improve yourself. This is all what self-improvement is. Virtue signaling or morality signaling, showing how virtuous you are, how good of a person you are. Then there's status signaling, wearing designer purses or fancy dresses, all these different things to show that you're a high status woman. We have enhancing appearance or beauty signaling. This is like going to the gym, putting on makeup, wearing nice fitted clothing, stuff like this, as you can see right here. And finally, we have sexual signaling. And this is just a way to signal to other men that you are ready for a relationship or you are looking for a mate. But then we have the second category of female intersexual competition, which is focused on other people. And this is where it gets a little bit more antisocial and harmful. And some of the different methods that women use for intersexual competition are derogation, which is negative comments or trying to detract from them, criticisms, all this types of stuff. There's spreading rumors and gossip. You all know about this. There's social exclusion, which is very common in children and even in adult females where they're like, if you do this, you're not a part of our friend group. Figuring out some way to exclude them from the group because all humans, and especially women, we are very social creatures. So social exclusion can be very harmful to women. The next method is reproductive suppression. And this one goes very deep. It's very controversial. And the reason for this is since it's so much easier for women to have children, the majority of them actually end up having children, whereas men, a lot of them get left behind. They die without children. So since this is the case, women will subconsciously try to cause other women to not reproduce. And I should highlight that a lot of this female intersexual competition is subconscious. And then the final way that women compete intersexually is mate guarding. And this is you could see this in this picture where This guy's looking at this other girl and she's all pissed off. She's trying to mate guard and prevent him from getting her because she wants to keep this high value guy in her eyes. So this is mate guarding. We got some enhancing appearance or beauty signaling here. This is, of course, gossiping and rumors. And then you can see here she envies this woman who's got bigger breasts, and that allows her to be more sexually competitive. This is kind of analogous to our Instagram situation where Sydney Sweeney is very competitive in the sexual marketplace. If we were to just be completely honest, Sydney Sweeney is much lower in body fat percentage. She's more toned. She's got appealing curves, whereas Lizzo is way too fat and obese for her to be sexually competitive. The differential response in these two Instagram posts has to do with the competitiveness of the individual. And we'll get into that. Women derogate Sydney Sweeney because she has a very high sexual market value. Derogation is an attempt to lower her perceived sexual market value. So since all women essentially view her as a very strong competitor in the sexual marketplace, they know that she's probably more highly valued by men. They try to subconsciously derogate her because they know that they can't compete, and this is really their only option. And this is why Sydney Sweeney receives a lot of hate comments, especially from women, because this is the only strategy that they have. Whereas with Lizzo, women praise Lizzo because they do not consider her a sexual threat. Because of her low sexual market value, or SMV, from her body weight, they use her as an opportunity to virtue signal with their empathy and inclusivity. Since they're not worried about sexual competition with Lizzo, they're all so supportive and they're like, "You go, girl, fuck the haters. Body positivity. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be skinny. All beauty standards are subjective." So they're trying to virtue signal. They're trying to show their empathy and inclusivity. It really is a lie, but they don't know that they're lying on purpose. A lot of them don't. They're doing this subconsciously, so we can't really hate on them. Also, with this, they're also trying to spread the idea that all bodies are beautiful as a form of manipulative reproductive suppression. So this one is where it gets very controversial. All these body positivity movements and pro-abortion movements that are common in society, they're pushed by women. You're not seeing many masculine guys who are like, "Let's go, body positivity." Because we're honest, we're more real. We're like, no, you kind of got to lose the weight. You got to be fit to be sexually attractive, to be healthy, to be a good mate. And they're just more real with their words. Whereas women, it's a completely different playing field. When women are spreading these ideas of body positivity, they don't realize what they're doing, but what they are doing is trying to suppress other women from reproducing unknowingly. They're trying to get these other women to accept their bodies and not try to lose the weight, because if women spread the idea that all bodies are beautiful, what's going to happen is you're going to have more fat women because they don't consider it a virtue to be skinny or a healthy weight. And then what this does is that makes them more competitive compared to other women. The skinny women are actually higher up on the sexual marketplace hierarchy, and that gets them more access to the men that they want. That allows them to achieve their mating goals. And this is why they do this subconsciously. They're trying to trick the other women into accepting their fat bodies. All right, y'all, that's all I got for today. Hopefully you learned something from this. Please subscribe, hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. And I'm out.